Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. Finally, iOS 26 is officially available and I have it here on my iPhone 16 Pro Max to show you all the new changes. As you see, it's a massive update and the video is too long, but you still can use the chapters in the description to make things easier for you. No more time to waste, let's jump right away to the new changes. Let's start with the lock screen, which has a massive number of new changes. The first thing you will notice here is the shorter date format at the top. Then the clock doesn't look exactly the same, which we're going to talk about later. And when you look down here at the lock screen shortcuts, you see that the liquid glass effect is now implemented also on the lock screen shortcuts. Not only this, but when you swipe up to reveal the notifications, you will notice a much darker wallpaper now to make things more visible when it comes to the notifications, which also got the new liquid glass effect. And Apple applied this new change to make things more readable. Now let's try to customize the two lock screens and see the differences. So when you tap and hold on both to customize, when you take a look here at the bottom bar, you will see some differences. First, the button itself has an oval shape instead of a rounded rectangle. The plus button is now transparent. And take a look at this new effect when I scroll through the wallpapers. You will see some light reflections here at the top of the two buttons that didn't exist before. Also, the focus button looks different. It has the same liquid glass design. And now let's try to customize both wallpapers. The first thing you will notice here is on iOS 18, when you tap on customize, it will ask you if you want to customize the lock or home screen, while on iOS 26, it will take you right away to the lock screen. Starting from the top, you will see that the two buttons are now using the liquid glass design and instead of a solid background like before. Then moving to the first widget, you will see here that we have pretty much the same widget picker, but it has a transparent background. The X at the top right corner got removed and replaced with a handle. And also take a look here what happens when I scroll. The choose widget text is no longer using a container around it. Plus, when you try to dismiss both cards, you will see a new bouncy animation, as you see here, which is something you will see a lot in iOS 26. When it comes to the widgets, they are exactly the same. I couldn't spot any difference. Moving to the clock, the first thing you will see here is the new handle at the bottom right corner, because now you can resize the clock using this handle, and this is the biggest size you can get. And if you have the depth effect enabled, as you see, it looks beautiful. Now let's tap on both to see the customization options. The first thing we have here at the bottom is the new switcher. So we can choose between solid, which is exactly the same as iOS 18, but we have a new one here called glass, which will apply some light reflections around the edges. And when you tilt the phone, these reflections will animate accordingly. And as you see, it's picking some of the wallpaper colors to make it as realistic as possible. It's also worth mentioning that when I switch to solid, the colors become very similar to the ones on iOS 18. But when I make it glass, the colors are now more transparent. And you will also see this glass effect when I switch between the two. And the same applies to the font weight slider. Take a look here. When I drag my finger, it gives you this water bubble effect, which didn't exist before. Also, the card itself is no longer edge to edge, but it has this floating design. When it comes to the font, we have the same exact options as before, but there's one thing to keep in mind here. Once you pick any font other than the default option, you will lose the clock resizing. As you see here, it returns back to the default size automatically. When it comes to the language, the button is now black instead of blue, and the card is much smaller as well because now it supports scrolling, which wasn't the case before, but the options are exactly the same. So that's pretty much it with the clock. Now let's talk about the widgets. And the first thing you'll notice here is the ability to place your widgets at the bottom of the screen, not only at the top like before, and you can drag it like this. Once you resize the clock, it will immediately move it to the bottom and everything else will appear between the lock screen shortcuts. Now let's reveal the widgets picker on both, and you will see the same design language we talked about in the first widgets picker. It has a floating design, not edge to edge. The X replaced with a handle. The add widgets title no longer has a container around it, and you get the same bouncy animation when you try to dismiss both. When it comes to the widgets, they are exactly the same, but you will see some different app icons, which has nothing to do with the widgets picker, but it's related to iOS 26 in general. And here's a quick example on how your widgets will look at the bottom of the screen, and here's how they look at the top. Now I removed all the lock screen widgets to avoid any distractions, and now let's take a look at the wallpaper customization options. On a side note, take a look at how the bigger clock of iOS 26 looks stunning with this wallpaper. It blends really well with it, and by the way, if you like any of the wallpapers you see in this video, they are now available for download on my Patreon page that you will find its link in the description. Back to the wallpaper customization options, we have the same exact filters as before, no difference, but we got a brand new feature here called Spatial Scene. When you tap on this button, it will generate the Spatial Scene wallpaper, and here's how it looks. It simply creates a 3D version of your wallpaper, so when you tilt the phone, you feel like you're holding a real object, not just a wallpaper. Plus, when you use it with the depth effect, it looks even better. Back to the customization options, and now the wallpaper picker shows a thumbnail of the currently selected wallpaper, and when you tap on both, the newer version will give you two options, either to show the current photo in library or to choose another one, and here you will find redesigned cards. The cancel is now X, everything is now more rounded, and you get the same water bubble animation when you switch between the taps, and the filters are also more rounded. The search is now located at the bottom right corner for easier reachability, and the edges are now more rounded as well to match the phone design. Also, when you try to add a brand new wallpaper to your lock screen by using the plus button, you will see redesigned pages. First, the new page is always in dark theme. We no longer have the add new wallpaper title. The X is now a cancel button at the top left corner, and all the icons you see here are different, plus the photo shuffle icon animates. And when you take a look at the categories, you will see some differences as well. Starting with the featured section, now we have a much bigger grid that will give you a lot more options when compared to iOS 18. Plus, things are organized differently. On iOS 26, you get the photo shuffle and the spatial scenes first before the weather. After that, you will see that some of the categories swapped places as well. And when you take a look here at the iOS 18 category, it's now called iOS 26 with a brand new description. On iOS 18, the dynamic option is the first in the list, while now you can see it over here. And both animate exactly the same way, but they have two different designs. And also the filters have different names. Now we have shadow, sky, halo, and dusk, while the previous names are totally different. So that's it when it comes to the wallpapers. Now let's talk about the lock screen shortcuts. And here you will see two different designs. Now it has a solid black background color, unlike the transparent one, and the search bar looks different as well. Plus, you will find some new shortcuts here. The first one is located under the reminders. Now we have a dedicated shortcut for the reminders, and here's how it looks. And let me also tap and hold on it to show you how it works. Once you tap on it, it will start a brand new reminder, so you can immediately take the action from here. Under the sounds category, we have a brand new shortcut for the silent mode. Under utilities, we have a new option called Print Center. Under accessibility, we have two new shortcuts, the Share Accessibility and Accessibility Reader. Under hearing accessibility, we have a new shortcut for the name recognition. And when you scroll all the way down, you will see a new one here called Hover Text. And finally, when you try to search for something on both, the cancel button is now an X. Let me also show you a couple of new features that I missed to mention in the lock screen. The first one is the new animation for the unlocking keypad. It's now more bouncy when compared to iOS 18. So let me show you this one more time. When I try to unlock both, you will see that the keypad is now animating in a different way. And the second change is related to the lock screen clock animation when the time changes. So when you take a look here at the minutes, when it converts into 10:02, you will see a new animation that didn't exist before. So let's give it some time. As you saw, the animation fades in and instead of showing immediately like before. So that's it with the lock screen. Now let's talk about the new changes in the home screen. And let's take a look at the liquid glass on your home screen and how it looks. When you take a look at this clock widget, you see how the glass effect is implemented on the widgets. Plus, you can see here the dock has this transparent background, unlike the solid one. Plus, you will see more padding between the edge of the container and the icons inside. The same applies to the search chip, the folders, and here's how they look now on iOS 26. Also, when you go to the widgets, this is how they look. When you try to edit your home screen pages, you see the same glass effect. And also, when you tap and hold on any of the icons to expand the context menu, as you see, it looks different. The floating card is more transparent with more rounded corners. Plus, we no longer get the blur effect for the background like before. Moving to the app library, here is how it looks in iOS 26. Also, the search bar at the top is now more rounded. And when you interact with the search bar, you get this really nice glowing animation when you drag your finger over it, which wasn't the case before. And you will see the same in the spotlight search. When you drag your finger, you see the same animation. Also, we got the microphone icon inside the search bar itself, not only the one in the keyboard. Talking about spotlight search, you get a more rounded search bar, which is also more transparent, same as the keyboard, but both are darker than iOS 18 to make things more readable. In contacts, I'm getting 3 shortcuts for quick actions that didn't exist before, and also when you take a look at the buttons, they are also more rounded to match the search bar. Back to the home screen, and now let's talk about the new customization options that you get with iOS 26. So when you tap and hold on your home screen and then tap on edit, you will see more options over here. So we have the same add widget, then we have customize, which got a lot of new changes. Talking about the overlay card design, now it looks like a sheet of glass floating over your home screen, not edge to edge like before. You also see the light reflections here around the edges, which looks really nice. The small and large tabs got replaced with a smaller button at the top right corner. And we also have a title for this card that didn't exist before. And when you take a look here at the options, they are also different. So let's go through them one by one to understand the new logic of iOS 26. Previously, we used to have light, dark, or automatic that dynamically switches between the two based on your dark mode settings, but currently it has a different logic. For example, when you set it to default, your icons will always look like this, even when you activate the dark mode. In this case, all other parts of the OS will adapt to the dark mode, but your icons will always remain the same. If you want to mimic the same automatic option of iOS 18, now you need to choose dark, and as you see the option expands, you can either set it to always, which is equivalent to this one, or you can set it to auto. And in this case, when you switch between light mode or dark mode, your icons will automatically adapt. We also got a brand new option here called Clear that also includes 3 sub options. We have light, dark, and auto that dynamically switches between the two based on your dark mode settings. And as you see here, this new Clear option looks amazing. All the icons and widgets look like a sheet of glass. So this is how they look. Even third-party apps that don't support the feature yet will adapt to the same design language, and all the apps at the top don't support liquid glass yet. But as you see, the system is forcing them to apply the same design. And the last option we have is called Tinted, which also got a complete revamp with iOS 26. First, the eyedropper button is now located under the sliders, but both work exactly the same way. Then if you want to revert back to the default wallpaper colors, you can tap on this button, which we didn't have before as well. And we also got 2 more options here on the left. The first option has a glyph icon that looks like an iPhone, which means it will automatically pick your phone's color and apply this color to your widgets and icons. And what's even smarter is the second option that looks like a phone case. When you use the first-party Apple cases that have an NFC chip embedded, the phone identifies the color of these cases and automatically apply this color to your widgets and app icons. On top of this, you get the same light, dark, or auto options at the bottom. So that's everything you need to know about the new customized panel, and I decided to choose the clear option to show you how it looks throughout the video. And now let's take a look at one more option here under the edit menu. You will notice that now you get a quick shortcut to edit your wallpaper, which will take you to this page so you can apply the same edits we used to have as before, like the blur effect, adding a gradient color, or change the photo if you want. You will also notice in iOS 26, when you tap on the edit button, it disappears unlike before. And also the glyph icons are now on the left side. And the same applies to the app shortcuts menu. The glyph icons are on the left side. Let me also show you what happens to your app icons and widgets when you tilt your phone on iOS 26. It gives you the same light reflections we've seen in the lock screen clock, which also looks really nice. So that's it with the home screen. Now let's talk about the notification center, and I would like to start with the new animations. Look at what happens when I reveal it. It interacts with everything like a sheet of glass, which looks really, really nice and realistic. You also see some light reflections around the edges, and when you swipe all the way down, take a look at how the home screen icons animate. Also, when you swipe up to dismiss it, it animates as if you are unlocking the phone, which wasn't the case before. The notification banners also got the same treatment, and now each banner looks like a sheet of glass unlike before. And for Apple to make things more readable on iOS 26, you see a lot darker wallpaper when you expand the notifications, but once you dismiss everything, it animates back to the full brightness. But previously we didn't have this animation. Also look at what happens when I tap and hold on any of these notifications. It animates like a sheet of glass. It picks the colors from the app icon and apply them as light reflections around the edges of the notification banner, while previously we didn't have this animation. Plus everything is now more rounded, as you see here. And when you half swipe to reveal the options, the buttons animate like a water bubble splitting into smaller ones, as you see here, while previously the animation was a lot more basic. Another minor tweak here is the X button is now in black, which is not as visible as before, but it matches the overall look. When it comes to expanding the notifications, it's about the same. I couldn't spot any difference here. Maybe the animation is now slightly smoother, or this phone is a bit old, so it's sluggish when compared to the 16 Pro Max. And here's how the options card looks on both. First, we no longer get the same blur effect. The card itself is more transparent with more rounded corners. We also have all the glyph icons on the left side, and the turn off option is a lot shorter. Plus we got a new option here called report a concern, which didn't exist before. Tapping on it, it will take you to a page where you can report your concern from here. And here is how both animate when you receive a notification. On iOS 26, the animation is more bouncy. You get the same glass treatment, and this is how it looks when the notification disappears. So that's it with the notification center. Now let's talk about the control center. Starting with the new design and animations, when I swipe down from the home screen, as you see on iOS 26, all the controls stretch, while on iOS 18, they become smaller. And when you complete the swipe, it will take you to the other pages, while currently it's no longer the case. For you to do the same behavior, your finger has to be over the page selector, and that's only the case with the first swipe. Once you trigger the page selector, now you can continue switching between pages, while previously, no matter where your finger started, you still can switch between pages like this. Another change here is when you scroll through pages using a swipe. On iOS 26, you see a more bouncy animation, unlike the flat one of iOS 18. And here is how they look side by side when you expand the folders. And also when you tap and hold on things like the Wi-Fi, you get a smaller card with more rounded corners that fits the shape of the Wi-Fi control itself, and the animation feels more connected with it, unlike before. Also, the glyph icons are now on the left side. The lock icon is now inside the Wi-Fi glyph, not next to it. And here is how they look side by side, and the same applies to the Bluetooth card. It's also worth noting that everything is now more rounded, more transparent, and also the background is darker to make things more readable on iOS 26, same as the notification center. And you also see the same light reflections animation around the controls. And take a look here, when I tap and hold on any of them, you also get a glowing animation that didn't exist before. Now let me try to customize the control center to show you even more differences. First, the border around the control itself is now matching the color of the control, plus the animation is more obvious when compared to iOS 18. When I try to add a new control, you see here a redesigned page as well. The search bar is more rounded and the whole page is a lot darker than before. Apple also added more controls to iOS 26. The first one is under a category called Docket, and we have something called background mode. We also got the same new reminder control we saw in the lock screen shortcuts. Under utilities, we got two new options, feedback assistant and local capture. Under accessibility, we also got two new additions, share accessibility and accessibility reader. Under hearing accessibility, we got a new toggle called name recognition. And lastly, under vision accessibility, we got a new option called hover text. On a side note, we got some new background sounds that you can access from your control center. You will notice here on iOS 18, the last option is fire, but on iOS 26, we have a lot more after this. We have babble, steam, airplane, boat, bus, train, rain on roof, and quiet night. And if you are wondering what the new controls exactly do, starting with the new reminder option, it allows you to create a reminder directly from the control center. The local capture control is a brand new feature in iOS 26 that will allow you to record video from your camera and your voice from the microphone while having a video call running at the same time. On the previous versions of iOS, once you make a video call, your phone's camera and the microphone engage with the video calling app, which means if you want to record your camera and the microphone from another app, you are out of luck. While with this feature, you can still record your camera and your voice from the microphone in high quality locally on device without interrupting the video call. So let me show you how it works. First, you have the option to record audio and video or audio only by turning on the toggle. And once you tap on start recording, it will be in standby mode because there is no video call running. But once you start a video call, let's say in Microsoft Teams, it will automatically start the local capture. So I'm gonna hit start meeting. And once the meeting is started, as you see, the local capture will start the countdown. And it's currently recording my voice and also recording the microphone, but you have to keep them open inside the app. And when you finish the recording, it will save the file to the Files app and you can jump right away to it like this. And here's how the local capture file gets saved on your device. As you see, the audio is now recorded, same as the camera. Then we have share accessibility, which is a new feature that can allow you to temporarily transfer your accessibility settings from your iPhone to another iPhone or iPad. And it says here that it's useful in cases where you want to use your accessibility settings on a public device, or maybe you want to check something on your friend's iPhone. That makes things easier for you. And then you can tap on continue to activate the feature and transfer the settings using AirDrop. Then we have the new accessibility reader, which is very similar to the speak screen feature. So if you have anything on the screen and then you start the accessibility reader, it will automatically show all the information right here. You can also adjust the reader font size and everything. You make it bold like a book. As you see here, you have dark, balanced and everything. And also you have the ability to hide the audio controls, which are showing over here. These audio controls will also allow you to adjust the speed if you want. And you have some media controls over here and an iOS 26 progress bar that has this water bubble animation. The name recognition is also a new feature on iOS 26. The iPhone keeps listening to what's happening around you, and once it hears your name, it will give you a notification. You can also access this feature under the accessibility settings. Now you will see that the sound recognition feature is called sound and name recognition. And here you can set the name recognition feature. Once you tap on setup, it will ask you first to input your name and then hit next. It will create an audio file to let you hear your name, and if you are happy with the pronunciation, you can tap on continue or you can record your own, and here is how it works. Hover text is another accessibility feature that adds a floating button on the screen. When you tap on it and select text, it will hover it on the screen in this black box like this, and if you want to update the text, tap on it again and then tap on the other paragraph, and here's how it works. And the last one is the new background mode toggle under the docket category. I couldn't find any information about this one, and tapping on it doesn't do anything for me. Now it's time to talk about Apple apps, and I will start with Apple Photos. The first change here is the new app icon. It has more vibrant colors along with the liquid glass effect. So let's open the app itself to take a look at the new changes. The most notable change here is Apple reverted back from the single tap design with endless scrolling to multiple taps, and now we have library, which includes your photos, and the second one called collections. And as you see, when you switch between them, you get the same water bubble animation we've seen throughout the OS, with a high attention to details on how it animates and how realistic the animation looks. Also, the search is now located at the bottom right corner for easier reachability. The Photos gallery is now called Library, and your sync status now shows under the header. So if your phone is backing up the photos, or if you have any issues with the backup, like in my case here, you can see the status at the top left corner. And when you tap on it, it takes you to the profile menu, which I'm gonna compare in a minute, so you can take the relevant actions. And when you start scrolling, you see the bar at the bottom got the same liquid glass treatment, so you can see through it. Also, the filters menu located at the bottom left corner is now at the top right corner. Both have the same exact options, but they look different and it animates differently as well. Also, the glyph icons are now on the left side instead of the right side like before. Let me also show you how the new select button animates on iOS 26. It got the same liquid glass animation, which looks really nice, and you still get access to the filters in the multi-select mode, unlike before. And when you select photos, you get access to the same exact options. We have share, we have the delete button, and the ellipsis is now located at the top right corner. The options are pretty much the same, but the glyph icons are now on the left. Also, the favorite option is now called add to favorites. The share sheet also got a complete revamp, and now we have smaller photo previews at the top. The buttons and everything else are now more rounded with the same liquid glass animation. Here we have a brand new airdrop icon. We have quick shortcuts for the most recent contacts. Plus, the first three options you see right here are now placed horizontally inside circles. And we got a brand new option called Create Photo Shuffle Wallpaper that takes you immediately to the lock screen to add the wallpaper to your gallery. And then the rest of the options are now using a gray background color, and all the glyph icons are on the left side. And we got a redesigned Edit Actions button that also got the same redesign of iOS 26 with a tick button instead of done, and everything is now more rounded, but all the options are pretty much the same. So that's it with the share sheet. The delete overlay card also got redesigned. It's now smaller in width. The text is bigger with more contrast, which makes it easier to read. The card itself is more transparent, so you can see through it. It has more rounded corners and more rounded delete button. Also, the animation looks a lot better. So here is a side-by-side comparison between the two. So that's it with the multi-select page. Back to the original view. And on iOS 18, we used to have this X that takes you back to the end of the list, while now you have this button that expands the two tabs so you can quickly switch between them. And if you want to go back to the end of the list, just tap on it one more time. Now let's open one of the photos to show you the redesigned viewer. First, all the buttons at the top are bigger. They are all using the black color instead of the blue color like before. The date is now surrounded with a container, and when you tap on it, it takes you to the info pane, unlike before. Also, when you expand the More menu, it looks different, but the options are exactly the same. And let me also show you how the buttons look when you zoom on the photo. As you see, the liquid glass effect is implemented on all the buttons, and here is how they animate when you dismiss the menus. The move to shared library chip that we used to have over here and also under the More menu is still accessible from the More menu on iOS 26, but the chip is now replaced with a new feature called the Spatial Scene, which converts your photo into a 3D scene, which is something we talked about in the lock screen chapter. But here you can also apply it on any photo in your gallery. It gives you the same 3D effect, which looks really nice in person, and you can toggle this feature on or off like this. Looking at the buttons over here, they are all using the black color instead of the blue color like before. And when you tap on any of them, you see a little bounce with some light reflections, which didn't exist before. And when you move to the photo editor, you will see some design tweaks as well. For example, when you drag your finger over the slider, as you see, it animates differently. Plus, the options over here don't disappear while dragging your finger like before. Other design tweaks you will see here is the much bigger undo and redo buttons, and they are now grouped together in the same container. We no longer have the red eye toggle over here, but now you can access it from the More menu. The More menu also got redesigned, same as all other parts of iOS 26. And we have here the exposure or the currently selected tool is written in a more transparent text. And the markup app is exactly the same, but it also got a brand new design. All the controls at the bottom are now grouped together in a floating rounded container, unlike before, and the buttons at the top are much bigger as well. The tabs at the bottom are also grouped together in the same container, unlike before, but when it comes to the functional changes, I couldn't spot any new change here. They work exactly the same as before. Even the cleanup feature works exactly the same, no difference. And here what happens when you tap on cancel. Now the overlay card is centered instead of showing at the bottom of the screen. Back to the main view. Previously we used to have access to the profile menu from here, but currently you need to go to the collections tab first. Here you will find that the suggestions and album activity are now two toggles grouped together under a new category called in-app notifications. But for the rest of the options, they are exactly the same. I couldn't spot any difference between the two. Now let's compare the new collections tab with the previous design. But as you see, the order is completely different. So let me reorder the options on the previous version to make things easier to compare. So now the order match, and let's start with the memories. The first thing you will notice here is the much smaller carousel. Now the order match, so let's start with the memories. The first thing you will notice here is the much smaller memories carousel in comparison. Plus, now you have the ability to expand or collapse any of these categories, which wasn't the case before. And when you tap on the memories header, you get a redesigned page with more rounded tabs at the top. Plus, for some reason, I don't have the create option on the older iPhone, but anyways, now you have the ability to create a new memory from this page as well, same as the one over here. Also, when you take a look at the two thumbnails, you see that the favorites button is now gone. And now if you want to add your memory to favorites, you need to tap and hold on it. Also, we got this new option that allows you to share all the photos inside the memory directly from here. This new play button will allow you to play the movie while tapping on the thumbnail itself takes you to the editing page, while previously tapping on any of the thumbnails will immediately play the movie, but you need to tap on photos if you want to access the same view. Starting from the top, you will see that the select and the ellipses swapped places. The select option works exactly the same way, but when you expand the ellipses, you no longer see the search option over here because you can immediately tap on the search button at the bottom right corner and both do the exact same thing. So instead of taking 2 steps to access the search, now you can access it with only 1 step. And when you scroll up on the previous version to reveal the movie preview, you will see 2 different behaviors. Previously, when you tap on it, it will immediately start playing the movie, while currently, when you tap on it, it will take you to whatever photo showing inside the preview at the moment, but if you want to play the movie, you need to hit the play button. And when you scroll down, you will see that now the memory title along with the date are showing at the top left instead of only the memory title in the center. Plus, you get quick access to the play button from here instead of going to the movie tab from the bottom like before. The filters button also got updated and it's now using the new icon to match the new design language of iOS 26, but the filters are exactly the same, no difference. Also, this button that we used to have to switch between summary or all is now gone. And also, when you start to play the movie on both, you will see some differences. First, we have this new grid button at the bottom right corner that will allow you to edit your timeline, while previously to access the same page, you need to tap on the ellipsis first and then tap on edit timeline. Those two pages have the same exact features, but they look totally different. For example, the tick button is now called select and both do the exact same thing. And when you tap on the plus button, you get the same card, but it looks different to match the iOS 26 design language. And also the back button got updated. And when you compare the buttons on this page, now we have a much bigger mute button, and it's also grouped with the ellipses in the same container. And when you expand the menu, as you see, it's now a lot shorter. First, we have less spacing between the items, and all the glyph icons are now on the left side, plus some of the names are now shorter. So loop movie, airplay movie, hide photo from movie, and add to favorites memories are now a lot shorter on the newer version. It's only add to favorites, airplay, loop, and hide from memory. We also got this new option called report a concern. And if you want to edit the title, now it has a separate item instead of tapping on this button at the top right corner, and both does the exact same thing. Back to the menu, and as I mentioned earlier, the edit timeline option is gone from here because now you can use this button, and the delete and show map options are also gone from this menu, but you can access them from the ellipses on the previous page. You can see them over here. Also, when you take a look at the options, we no longer have the short and medium like before, but you only get one option with iOS 26. And when you pinch on the screen to quit the movie, currently it takes you back to the memory editing page, while previously it takes you back to the main page. And the last change I want to show you is the updated type to create text box. And when you tap on it, it does exactly the same thing as before. You can create a memory using Apple Intelligence if you have one of the supported devices with the same exact animation as before. Maybe it's slightly different, but the functionality works exactly the same. Back to the collections page, which got some new options under the ellipses that we didn't have before. First, you can change the view. You have 3 different options to choose from. The first one will make the first collection bigger than the rest. You can make all of them the same size or slightly bigger. And from here, you can also filter the library. You can choose between personal, shared, or both. And here you have the ability to collapse all the collections or show all of them at once, in addition to the ability to collapse individual items. Plus, you get quick access to the reorder menu, unlike before that requires scrolling all the way down to reach the same page. You still have access to the reorder from the bottom of the screen, but this one is slightly easier. Moving to the pinned collections, they are now called pinned, and the modify button is now called edit. And also when you tap on the title of each one, you see the same design tweaks, bigger buttons, and the names are shorter, which is the same trend with iOS 26. Moving to the albums collection, as you see, the carousel got redesigned. Instead of having 3 rows, it's only 1 row, and the album name is now written inside the thumbnail, not next to it like before. And when you tap on the title, you will see a redesigned page with much bigger tabs and the liquid glass animations. Also, the ellipses look different. As you see, the key photo and list view swapped places, but all the options are exactly the same. Moving to people, and you will see the same behavior. Instead of having 2 rows, it's only 1 row. And when you tap on the title, you will see a redesigned page. Now the add people, create, and edit all grouped together under the same container. So for example, when you tap on the plus button, now you get access to the add people and the create new group options all together under the same button, and the edit button works exactly the same, no difference. Other than this, you get the same functionality, but just a different design. Moving to the featured photos, they are exactly the same, and the only difference here is the much smaller carousel, but when you tap on all the options, you get the same exact thing on both devices. Moving to recent days, there is no difference in the size, but when you tap on the title, now we have 2 columns instead of 3 columns like before. Under trips, I don't have any albums to show you the difference between the two, but let's talk about media types and utilities. As you see, they are now a lot smaller, and instead of having 4 items in the same column, now we only have 3, and you can see a lot from the next column, unlike before, but all the options are exactly the same. And the wallpaper suggestions section got no changes. It's exactly the same in everything. So that's everything new with the collections tab. Now let's compare the search. And the first thing you will notice here is the done button to quit the search is now replaced with an X at the bottom of the screen for easier reachability. And now you have the ability to expand the recent section instead of scrolling horizontally like before. And when you search for anything, you get 2 totally different pages now with iOS 26. So I will search for the same person on both. Now we have 2 tabs at the top, one for photos and one for collections, while previously the collections used to be a horizontal carousel. And if you want to access the full page, you need to tap on See All, while now you can go to the collections tab like this. You will also notice that we still have some options here at the top, which are the ellipses. From here you can sort by, while previously the sort option was located over here. And also the select button is also located at the top right corner. So you get some sort of consistency with iOS 26 design, and instead of having smaller buttons in the middle. Plus, you can quit the search not only using the X, but you can tap on this button that takes you to the previous tab like this, which wasn't the case before. And finally, now let's end this chapter by comparing the settings page on both versions. When it comes to Siri and search, these features are now accessible under Apple Intelligence and Siri menu, but the only new thing here is a new toggle called Control for creating spatial photos. So if you have this toggle turned off and then go to the Photos app, you will no longer see the spatial scene toggle over here. But if you want to activate it, just turn on the switch, get back to photos, and it should appear when I open the photo. So if you don't want to see this feature, you can turn it off. So that's it with the photos. Now let's talk about the new camera app. The first change here is the updated icon, which looks totally different when compared to iOS 18. And now let's open the app to see the new changes. The first thing you will notice here is the brand new design. First, we have all the options at the top, like the flash, night mode, and live photo are all grouped together at the top right corner instead of having them separated. And for the rest of the options that used to be hidden under this arrow are now located under this new grid menu that has the liquid glass effect. You can access this menu also by tapping on the photo mode, which wasn't the case before. Tapping the photo mode doesn't do anything. You will also see here that the shared library toggle is now located at the top left corner, and also from here you can quickly change the format of your photos without the need to go to the app settings like before. Another quality of life feature worth noting is when you toggle any of these options, it shows the title briefly on the screen so you can get an idea about what exactly it does. Moving to the bottom section, you will see some design tweaks as well. First, the shutter key got redesigned. The camera modes are now closer to the edge, same as the gallery button and the camera switcher. Plus, on iOS 26, you can see only 2 camera modes at a time, but if you want to reveal the rest of the options, you need to drag your finger over the carousel. And here's how the new liquid glass effect is implemented in the new camera app. Moving to the video mode on both, and here you will see some differences as well. First, to change the resolution and frame rate, you no longer need to keep tapping on the switches at the top right corner, but you can simply tap on this chip, which will give you access to everything at once. So you can change the ProRes format, the resolution, and also the frame rate. Not only this, but for the rest of the options, you have the same grid menu as the Photos tab, which includes the flash exposure and the action mode. Or you can also toggle things directly from here if you want. When it comes to the time, as you see, it's no longer showing, but once you start recording, now you can see the time at the top, but it doesn't appear unless you hit the shutter key. So that's pretty much it when it comes to the new camera app design. You will see the same thing in each and every camera mode. But it's also worth noting that when you choose anything other than photo or video, you will start to see 3 camera modes at a time, not only 2. It's only 2 when you are on photo or video, but once you switch to anything else, you can see 3 options. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the new design. Now let's compare the camera settings. Starting with the camera control, this phone doesn't have the feature, so I'm not going to be able to compare it, but I will show you some screenshots from the same phone running iOS 18. And when it comes to the options, we have some new changes. First, we got this new controls section that will allow you to turn the camera adjustments on or off. So for example, when you use the camera control to start the camera, when you swipe on the camera control or tap on it lightly, it gives you access to the camera settings. But if you don't want to do this, you can simply turn off the switch and the camera control will not show any camera settings. So for example, when I swipe my finger over it, as you see, nothing happens. Not only this, but now you have the ability to customize these options in multiple ways. You can choose if you want to access the controls by using a light press or a swipe or both together. Plus you have the ability to reorder the options available. Now you can also see the clean preview toggle under the customized page instead of having it on the front page like before. So that's it when it comes to the camera control. Now let's take a look at the rest of the settings. The first new option we got here is called shared library. Here you can activate the feature so you can show the shared library in camera or not. And you have the ability to choose between share automatically, which will also give you one more toggle to share when at home, or you can share manually. The other new addition here is something called indicators. Here you can choose what to show in the indicators appearing at the top right corner of the camera app, which are these ones. So for example, if I don't want to show the flash and live photo, I can turn off the toggles and now I can access them from the grid menu. So you have the option to choose what to show here. And when you scroll all the way down in the list, you will see 2 new toggles. The first one is called Lens Cleaning Hints, and this one will display a suggestion when the camera lens should be cleaned to improve image quality. And you have another one under a category called Messages called Save Captures to Photo Library, which means automatically save captures taken in Messages camera to the photo library. One last thing I missed to mention under the camera control, when you go to the Customize page, you can also unselect any of these options, not only reorder as I mentioned before. So that's it when it comes to the camera. Now let's talk about the phone app. The phone app got a complete revamp with iOS 26. Starting with the tabs at the bottom, we no longer have a dedicated tab for favorites, but now you can add them to the top of the page. Then we have the Recents tab, which is now called Calls, and it includes both the favorites and the recents. Then we have Contacts, we have Keypad, and the voicemail tab got removed, and now you can see the search button at the bottom right corner, which used to be at the top under recents, which make things easier to reach. So let's start by comparing the favorites on both. Previously, it used to be a list view, but now you have a grid view at the top of the screen. And if you want to add more favorites, you no longer have this plus button, but you need to tap on edit first and then edit favorites. And that's when you can see the plus button at the top right corner, and both work pretty much the same way. Here you can also reorder your favorites, or you can remove any of them if you want and add it back like this. While on iOS 18, we don't have the option to reorder the contacts, but all you can do here is to swipe left to delete. So that's it when it comes to the favorites. Now let's compare the recents section on both. And the first thing you will notice is now we have a quick shortcut to initiate a phone call like this. And if you want to access the contact page, you need to tap on the contact name, while previously when you tap on the contact name, that's when it initiates the call. But if you want to access the contact page, you need to tap on the info button. So the logic is now different, and I think it's now a lot easier to understand. At the top, we no longer have the all and missed calls filter, but all the filters are now located under this button, and you get a lot more options as well. Here you can filter by calls, by missed calls. You have the voicemail, which got removed from the bottom navigation bar. And then we have the new unknown callers feature. By default on iOS 26, when you receive a call from an unknown number or contact, the phone doesn't ring and it moves the call under the unknown callers folder. And you also get a small notification on top of the filters button to let you know that you received an unknown call. Plus, from here, you can decide what you want to do. You can either delete the record or mark as known. So by this, next time the person calls, your phone rings normally. But if you want to turn off this feature entirely, you can tap on the filters button and then tap on manage filtering. And here you can find the switch to turn this feature on or off. Back to the previous page, and you will notice that now we have a switcher at the top to choose between unified and the classic. So if you don't prefer the new unified design of the phone app, you still can revert back to the classic version, which matches this one exactly. Now we have the same favorites and voicemail tabs located at the bottom. And also the search bar is back again to the top. The phone button is now gone and replaced with the info button, and you can initiate the call exactly the same way on both. So you get exactly the same thing as the previous design, but with liquid glass on top of it. But honestly, I prefer the new unified look a lot more. Let me also show you some tips in the new phone app. For example, if you want to schedule or to set a reminder to call a specific person, now you can swipe like this on the contact and you will see this new reminder button. When you tap on it, it will allow you to set a reminder after 1 hour, tonight, tomorrow, or remind me later, which will give you the full reminder page, and you can set the date and time yourself. Also, if you want to use the new unified design, but at the same time you want to tap on the contact name to start the phone call like the previous version, you can achieve this under settings. And when you scroll up, you see a new toggle here called Tap Recents to Call. When you turn on the switch and go back to the phone app, as you see, it got the same design as the previous version without impacting anything else. Let me also show you the redesigned setup name and photo page on both versions. As you see, it got a totally different design. And now let me show you the redesigned setup name and photo page on both versions. As you see, it got a completely different design. All the options we have right here are now located at the bottom. We have the same toggle. The first and last name are now separated instead of being grouped together, and you get the same sharing options as well. Another fundamental difference between the two is the ability to see all the available options right away, while previously, if you want to access the same page, you need to tap on Edit and then tap on Customize. Then it chooses if you want to customize the contact photo or poster, which is now called Avatar. And the poster one has a separate tab, so it requires a lot more steps on iOS 18 to reach the same thing. And once you reach this page, you have the crop option. And then once you finish cropping, it will show you the filters as you see here. While currently, when you tap on Customize, you can see the crop and the available filters right away, which is also a lot easier to reach. And when you tap on Continue, it will take you to the poster page. While now you can immediately switch to the poster right away from here. And let's say you want to choose another poster and tap on Customize here. You need to first choose the photo, and then it will show you the styling options. We have the same exact filters, no difference. But as you see, it's a lot easier to reach the same thing on iOS 26. It's also worth noting that the monogram option got a small visual tweak. Now you can see the initials inside this circular glass to match the new liquid glass design language. But other than this, both are about the same. You get the same font and color options, no difference. Another quality of life feature added to the phone app that will make your life a lot easier is when you tap on edit and then select, now you have the ability to select multiple items to take bulk actions like delete or mark as read if you have any unseen calls. While previously you need to tap on this minus button to delete one by one, which is a very long process. Also, the clear button that we have here at the top right corner is now called clear all. Another hidden feature in the phone app is when you make a call and the other person picks up the line, you get a haptic feedback, and another one when the call ends. And under the phone app settings, you can customize how the call screening works. And here you have three different choices, either never, which means the feature is off, or you can ask for the reason of the call, and the description says calls from unsaved numbers will be asked for more information before iPhone rings. And finally, you have an option called silence, and the description says calls from unsaved numbers will be silenced, sent to voicemail, and displayed on the recents list. Calling and data rates may apply. Under settings, we also got a brand new toggle called Hold Assist Detection. This hold assist feature will automatically detect when you are placed on hold, so you can step away and the iPhone will then notify you when it's time to pick up. So let me show you how it works. When you start a phone call like this and then tap on the more button, you will see the hold assist feature available. When you tap on it, it will minimize the call and tell you you will be notified to pick up the call. And as you see, when you tap on it, this is the screen you get. But in my case, it doesn't work because the language is not supported and it's recommending to pick up the line. And when you tap on the green button, you return back to the phone call. We also got a brand new feature called Live Translate that will translate your phone calls on the fly. Let me also show you how it works. So I will initiate a phone call from here and then tap on more. And here you can see the Live Translate option. From here, you can choose the from and to languages. From includes French, German, Portuguese, and Spanish, and you can download these languages locally on device. And under to, you can see English US, English UK, and the same 5 or 4 languages I already showed you under the from. But if the language is supported, the start translation button will be activated and the phone will start translating the phone call for you. Let me also compare the call page on both versions. The first thing you'll notice here is the call recording button used to be located at the top left corner, but now you can locate it under this new more button, which includes everything. It includes the contact card, add people, call recording, live translation, and hold assist. While previously we didn't have a more button, but it was an add button only to add more people and start a conference. Last but not least, let's compare the rest of the settings under the phone app. And the first change is the addition of the CarPlay feature under the phone app settings. And the description says, watch shows, listen to music, and use apps together during FaceTime calls. So it seems like there is a new integration between the phone app and FaceTime. After that, we have the tap presence to call and hold assist detection, which we already covered. The live voicemail toggle is available front and center instead of going to a separate page to activate it. And then when you scroll down more, you will see the call screening feature, the unknown callers call filtering, which we already covered as well. Then you will see here the SMS and call reporting, same as before. We have the blocked contacts, and also we have the dial assist. So that's everything new with the phone app. Now let's talk about messages. Same as all other apps, we got the same design language with the edit button and filters button at the top right corner. And the new message button is now located at the bottom right, which makes it easier to reach. Also, the search bar is no longer located at the top, but you can also see it at the bottom for easier reachability. And now let's talk about the new features. Starting with the edit button at the top left corner, you will see pretty much the same options except for the show recently deleted that you can now find under the new filter button. That also includes spam. And you can tap on manage filtering, which will allow you to activate something called screen unknown senders, similar to the phone app. And when you turn on the toggle, if you have any messages from unknown numbers, they will be automatically moved under the unknown senders folder. and here is how it looks. And you also get the same notification on top of the filters button if you have any new unread unknown message. Now let's open one of the conversations to show you what's new. First, we got the brand new design of liquid glass. As you see, everything looks totally different now. And when you tap on the contact name at the top, you see it has a different design as well. Plus, instead of showing all the sent items right away here on the screen, now they are filtered. So for example, if you want to check the photos only, you can go to the photos, then you have links and then locations, instead of having everything right away here on the screen. Plus, all the buttons in this area are now a lot smaller and they have a circular design instead of the rounded rectangles. Here you can see all the info right away, and instead of tapping on a separate button to see the contact info, from here you can block the contact, show in the contacts app, and these options are hidden under this info page, while now you can see them right away. Plus, you get the option to edit the contact info directly from here instead of going to info first and then tap on edit, which requires more steps. Now let me quit this page and go to another conversation to show you more features. As you see, this conversation is only SMS. That's why I don't see all the features. So let's open another one with the iMessage activated to show you the rest of the changes. Again, we got the same redesigned bubble at the top, in addition to a new shortcut to start a FaceTime call immediately. So let's go to the same page to show you what else we have. When you open any group chat like this one, as you see, the buttons are smaller as well. And if you want to add a new person, you can see the add button right away, while previously you need to expand this banner first and then tap on add contact. We also got something called live translate in Apple Messages, which will allow you to translate the conversation to other languages. And as you see here, I have the toggle activated and it says automatically translate. I can choose from and to, and here are the languages you can translate from, and here's the to list. So let me show you how it works in action. I received a couple of German messages and immediately got the translated version of each message written side by side with the German. But when you tap on this chip, you can choose how you want to view the translations. You can view the German and English together to see the original message, or you can tap on English only, and in this case it will hide the original message. And from here you can also choose to stop the translation if you want. Back to the conversation settings, and here we have a brand new feature called backgrounds, which will allow you to set a background for your conversation, and you have multiple options to choose from. The first one is just a static photo from your gallery. You can also choose a color, and here you have multiple options to choose from. You can mix and match between two colors to get a different gradient, and all of them animate the same way. Then we have the image playground, which will allow you to generate an image inside the image playground app, and then use this image as a background for your conversation. And here's what happens when you do this. So now I have the image set and I can apply multiple filters as well. Then we have an option called sky, which will also give you multiple colors and shapes to choose from. Then we have water. It has only two different designs. And finally, we have this Aurora design that gives you three different filters on top. On top of this, you get some suggestions from Image Playground, which is the first option. And then we have some suggestions from My Gallery, and also some of the options you see right here as well. And the last change you will see in this page is the change name and photo button is now located under the edit button, but both work exactly the same. Back to the conversation, and we also got another quality of life feature with iOS 26. When you tap and hold on any of the messages, now you will see a new option called select, which will allow you to select parts of the message instead of copying the whole thing. And as you see, the magnifier looks really cool with the new liquid glass animation. Plus, you have the ability to do more things like copy, activate the writing tools, and also you have even more things to do, like translate, lookup, and you can expand this card to reveal all the options from here. Under the plus menu, we also got two new features. The first one is called polls. So for example, if you are in a group chat and you want to vote on a specific place or something to eat, you can create a poll and put all the options and let the people in the group choose whatever they prefer. And by the way, this feature also works in the one-to-one conversations, not only group chats. And here's how it looks when you send it. And this is how you can vote. You can tap and tap again to remove your vote and change it like this. And later down the road, if you want to add more options, you can tap on add choice. It will take you back to the editing page so you can apply more edits and send it back to the group. And when you tap and hold on the poll, here you will see something called poll details, which will show you the votes or the people in the conversation and who voted on which, so you can get more details. Plus, you have the ability to add stickers to the poll and place it anywhere you want on the poll itself. Like this, you can drag it over, and you can achieve this by simply tapping and holding on it and then attach a sticker. It will show you all the stickers you have. You can add multiple ones as you see here and place them on the options. The second change under the plus menu is the ability to use Apple Cache in group chats, which wasn't the case before, and this is how the new interface looks. Another new feature related to group chats is the ability to see typing indicators, and it will show you the profile picture of the person currently typing, as shown in this quick preview from Apple's keynote. Back to the conversation list to show you one minor tweak. As you see, when I swipe to take actions, the animation now looks different on iOS 26. And when you try to delete a certain conversation like this, you will see a redesigned card showing next to the conversation itself instead of showing at the bottom of the screen. Also, the names are now different. We have delete and report junk, but now we have delete and report spam. And as you see, the animation is different as well. If you want to access your recently deleted messages, here is how you can do this. And also this page got some redesign tweaks to match the iOS 26 design language. Now let's end this chapter by comparing the settings of both versions. And here you will find some new features. I already covered the show unknown senders option, but we also got something else called filter spam, and the description says hide notifications and move messages to the spam list. And when this action happens, you will see a filter called spam under the filters menu. Then you will find two new toggles related to the conversation backgrounds that you can turn on or off, and this is what happens when you change the status. But we also got one new toggle called start with photos visible. I couldn't figure out what this toggle exactly does. I tried it off and on. I don't see any difference between the two. It works exactly the same way when I preview photos or when I open the conversation. So if you know anything about this toggle, please let me know in the comments. And lastly, when you scroll all the way down, you will see different names for the low quality image mode. It's now called send low quality photo previews, and business messages is now called messages for business. So that's everything new with Apple Messages. Now let's talk about the new changes in Safari. So let's start with the design and how things are organized in the newer version. The first thing you will notice here is all the controls at the bottom are now floating instead of covering a small part of the web page. Plus, when you start scrolling, the address bar becomes a lot smaller instead of showing a full bar at the bottom, which gives you a more full screen experience. And as you see, the liquid glass effect on the address bar, you can see through everything, which looks really, really nice. Also, when you scroll all the way up, now you can see a new My Taps button that takes you back to the tap switcher, which was located at the bottom right corner in the previous version. Also, the forward button is now hidden in iOS 26 unless you take an action and go back. That's when you can see the forward button, but normally Apple is trying to save space here and only show the button when it's needed. To access the rest of the options on iOS 18 like share, bookmarks, and all tabs, everything is now hidden under the more menu. Here we have the share, bookmarks, and all tabs. In addition to add to favorites, add bookmark to, new tab, and a new private tab. And when you tap and hold on the all tabs button on iOS 18, you get more options that are now accessible by tapping and holding on the address bar, not under the more menu. And here we have the share, copy, voice, search. And when it comes to switch tab groups, and instead of seeing all the groups right away in front of you, now they are hidden under a drop-down menu to make the card smaller. You have the same move to tab group. And when it comes to new private tab and the new tab, they are under the more menu. On both versions, you have multiple ways to access the all tabs page. You can either tap on the button itself, which is the normal way. On iOS 26, you can use the pill or the chip at the top left corner, or you can swipe up on the address bar. It takes you to the tab switcher, or pinch to zoom like this. The first thing to talk about here is the complete redesign of this page. First, the profile switcher at the top looks totally different and it has a container around it. It also animates differently, as you see here. We also got this new more menu at the top left corner that consolidates all the options you might need. First, it will give you access to the profile switcher, which is the same one we have over here. Then you have the manage tab groups, which will reveal this card that you can access on iOS 18 by tapping on this list button. You can also tap on the tab group name and it will reveal the same menu for you on iOS 26. Back to the more menu, from here you can also select tabs, which is easier than before, because previously to do the same action you need to tap and hold first, then select tabs, and then apply the changes. You get the same close and move options and also the same pin and copy options as before. But as you see, things are better organized with iOS 26. The next option under this menu is called Rename Tab Group, which will allow you to rename the group, but you have an easier way by simply tapping on the name, same as iOS 18. But as you see, iOS 26 is trying to show you everything. So in case you don't know the gesture, you can find your way by accessing the menu. Then we have the share option over here, which you can also access from this button on iOS 18. We also got a new sorting option, which is called Arrange Tabs By, and here you can arrange tabs by title or arrange tabs by website. And the last two options are Copy Link and also Add Bookmark for tab, which will take you to the bookmarks page so you can create a new folder. While on iOS 18, I couldn't spot the same option, which is called Add Bookmark for tab. As you see, I only have the copy link, but not the other one. I can start the page, but I don't have the same Add Bookmark for tab. For the rest of the options, everything is exactly the same. We have the same search bar at the top. The plus button looks different, and the done button replaced with a tick button. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the tab switcher. Now let's compare the bookmarks. Starting with the design, as you see, everything is now more rounded. The glyph icons are different and smaller than before. Also, the card opens in a collapsed view, unlike iOS 26, which already stretches the card to the full screen, which is something you can do on iOS 18, but it requires another swipe. We have the same search bar at the top, but we also got a quick shortcut to something called Recently Saved, which gives you quick access to the recently saved websites. Then we have a lot more options under this more menu. Here you can sort things by none, date added, name, or address, which didn't exist before. Here you have an option called Show Folders on top. When you turn off, it will merge everything together. And then we have something called Large or Compact View. This is the compact view, which is the default one, and you can make it large. On top of this, we have the ability to create a new folder or select multiple bookmarks at the same time using this option. When you compare this to iOS 18, all you can do here is to tap on Edit. It will allow you to create a new folder, delete things, but nothing else. It doesn't allow you to multi-select like on iOS 26 with the ability to delete your selected folders and bookmarks. Back to the browsing page to show you two more changes. When you expand this menu, as you see, it now looks different and you get quick access to the Manage extension. And also when you tap on the ellipses, all the options are exactly the same except for this one, which is new, called Report a Website Issue. And finally, when you go to the Safari settings page under the tabs section, you will see new options. Previously, we used to have tab bar and single tap, while now we have bottom, which will give you the same look of iOS 18. You can see all the buttons that we have here at the bottom, but the container itself looks a lot better and it's floating instead of covering the entire width of the screen. And here's what happens when you start scrolling. So if you want the same access to all these buttons, you can activate it under settings. And when you move to top, it matches the single tap option on iOS 18. And here's how they look side by side. The only difference here is the new design looks better. It's floating, it doesn't cover the full width of the screen, which looks a lot better. So that's everything you need to know about Safari. Now let's talk about Apple Music. Apple Music got a lot of new exciting features, and let's start with the design. As you see, you are getting the same liquid glass design, and this what happens when you start scrolling. As you see, all the options at the bottom collapse to be on the same line. Plus, we have the same glass animation that we got used to. And when you start scrolling back up to the end of the list, that's when the tabs get revealed. So as you see here, it doesn't reveal the tabs unless you scroll all the way up to the top. Apple Music got a lot of new changes, so let's start with the design first. We have the same liquid glass design we got used to. You can see through the menus now, as you see, with the same liquid glass effect. Plus, all the tabs minimize when you start scrolling down, and it doesn't reveal the tabs unless you scroll all the way up. But at any time, if you want to reveal the tabs, you can use this button to expand all the tabs at the bottom. But other than this, you have to scroll all the way up to get access to the tabs. We also got the same bubble effect when you switch between them like this, and it looks really nice. Now let's go to the now playing screen to show you what's new. The first change you will find here is under the lyrics page. As you see, I'm playing a Korean song, so I don't know the language, but I have the option to translate the lyrics, in addition to check the pronunciation of the words. And if you want to activate this feature, simply tap on this translate button and it will show you two things, either to hide the pronunciation or to hide the translation, or activate both at the same time. And here is how it looks. The second change here is the new quick favorites button appearing at the top right corner that didn't exist before, without the need to expand the menu to add the song to your favorite. Now you can do it directly from here, which is a nice touch. And the third change is under the list page. At the top right corner, you will see this new toggle for a new feature called Auto Mix that enhances the transition between tracks. In a nutshell, this feature acts like a DJ while transitioning between tracks. So before the track ends by 20 or 15 seconds, it will try to match the beat of the current song with the next one to give you this seamless transition as if you are listening to a DJ. Back to the lyrics page to show you one more change, which is the new karaoke feature. As you see now, we have a volume slider that will allow you to mute the artist or adjust the volume to your preference to start your karaoke night. Plus, when you play a song on Apple TV, you can use your iPhone as a mic and your voice will be amplified on the TV. You will get quick controls to adjust the vocals and mic reverb. Additionally, your friends can join from their iPhones the same way and react using emojis. And the last change I'm going to show you in the now playing screen is the redesigned overlay menu. Now we have three of the most important options you see in the list now located at the top next to each other. The menu itself is now more transparent, and when you drag your finger over it, you get this really nice glowing animation. You will also notice that all the items are now reordered to be more logical. Plus, we have this new pin song option, which is part of a new feature in Apple Music called Music Pins, which I'm going to show you right now. So for example, if you like a specific song, playlist, or artist, and then tap on the pin option, it will pin these songs to your library, and you can see everything pinned over here. So when you go to the library on both devices, as you see, only on iOS 26 I have this section at the top. Here I have a pinned artist, some playlists, and a song. And if you want to do the same for playlists, you can simply tap and hold on it like this, and you will see the pin or unpin option right here. So now I unpinned the playlist, and here's how I can pin it. Plus, I have the ability to drag the items to reorder them like this, and you'll notice that the artist is the only one that gets a circular design. Now let's end this chapter by talking about the new changes under the app settings, and the first one is under the audio section. Now the crossfade toggle of iOS 18 is gone, and we have a separate page called Song Transitions. From here you can turn the feature on or off entirely, and you can decide if you want to use the new auto mix feature or the same crossfade feature of iOS 18. Under the download section, we got a new toggle called download pins, which will automatically download any songs and the playlists you pinned to your library. We also got a new section for lyrics, which will allow you to choose the larger text. So if you want the lyrics to have the larger text, you can choose it from here, or you can make the pronunciation larger if you want. So that's everything new with Apple Music. Now let's talk about the new changes in Apple Maps. Starting with the design, as per iOS 26 design language, everything is now more rounded, and you can see this when it comes to the buttons everywhere and also the floating cards. Not only this, but the buttons placement are now more logical and easier to reach when compared to iOS 18. When you take a look here at these parts, you will see that the library section is now called Places, and it has much bigger icons. Plus, now you have the ability to tap on any of the titles to access the full menu instead of having some arrows and a more button to tap on like before. Now you can simply tap on the title instead. And when you expand the card, you will notice that we also got a brand new section called Your Guides, which was previously accessible only from the library page and then guides. I have the same exact guides on both devices, but now it's easier for me to get access to them directly from the main page. Plus, we have more rounded buttons at the bottom of the screen. Also, I did notice that now we have ellipses next to the recent searches that didn't exist before, while previously you have the ability to tap and hold to get certain actions. Currently, the tap and hold feature doesn't work, and your only way is to tap on the ellipses to get share or clear, but we no longer have the call, directions, and open home page options. Now let me open one of the places to show you even more changes. Now the place name is much smaller and centered. We have the share button much bigger and on the left side. The X button is bigger as well. And then when you take a look at these buttons, they are wider, plus all the options or all the information we have right here are centered, not left aligned like before. And we got one new piece of info called distance. And we no longer have this more button over here because now we have a floating chip at the bottom that includes the tick button, the favorites, the thumbs up, and you can also get access to the same more menu like this. This menu duplicates some of the options we already have on the front page. All these buttons you see right here are also available from here, in addition to the favorites and the share options, while previously you won't see any of these options available in the overflow menu. You will see other design tweaks when you scroll up to expand the card. As you see here, the carousel is a lot smaller now in comparison to iOS 18, and we have more spacing between the items in this area. And when you scroll down, you will see the text is now more visible. Plus, we have a much bigger ratings section as you see here, and the rating score is now written on the right side in a much bigger font. Plus, instead of giving you quick buttons to give your rating directly from here, now you have a dedicated button for this task, which will expand a floating card to give you the same options. Then on iOS 18, we have a button called Add Your Photos, while on iOS 26, if you want to add photos, you need to expand this menu and then tap on Add Photos. Here you have Choose Existing or Take a New Photo. And then let's scroll down even more. I have this place added to my guides. Then you will see a redesigned Good to Know section as well. Then we have Featured. And when you scroll all the way down, you see that the buttons got redesigned as well. And the details section got updated. Now you have the hours and details separated instead of having everything under one section like before. Now let's start the navigation on both devices to show you even more design tweaks. The first one is the navigation carousel at the top. It got the same bubble animation we've seen in iOS 26, but for some reason it's currently broken. Then the rest of the options are exactly the same. Now let's start the navigation. And as you see, all the cards on the screen are now floating instead of covering the entire width. And as you see, all the information right here is now centered with more spacing between the items instead of being left aligned like before. This expand arrow is now gone, and currently we have a handle. And as you see, the card is also transparent and has a bouncy animation, but for some reason it's also broken. Anyways, when you take a look here at the information, you still get access to the same information even if you have this card expanded. Then you have the same options as before, but they got different icons. And when it comes to report an incident, you will see a lot more options now. Previously, we used to have crash, speed check, and hazard, but currently we also have traffic, road work, and road closure. Plus, we have a quick access to the incident report directly from the overflow menu. Besides this, Apple also revealed a handful list of features. First, it can now remember your preferred routes and offer them in maps alongside other options, and when your routine changes, it adapts. The Maps widget will automatically show your commute so you can check it before you leave. Plus, you will get notified if there is any significant delays with alternative route options. The third change is the new Visited Places feature. It saves all the places you visited so you can easily get back to them using search or locate by category. So that's everything new in Maps. Now let's talk about the new changes in Apple Wallet. Starting with the buttons, as you see, they got redesigned. They are bigger and match the new iOS 26 design language. We also got a brand new search button over here. And when you tap on the plus, the overlay card looks different, and the options also got some new icons. Here we have the previous cards option called Cards Found For You. And we got one more option here called Pay Later options that didn't exist before. And when you tap on the ellipses, you will see a brand new option here called Autofill that requires your Face ID authentication. This feature will allow you to choose what cards you want to include in your autofill feature. So for example, if you are filling a form online that requires your card details, your phone automatically suggests any of these cards. So if you don't want this to happen for a specific one, you can simply remove it. All you need to do is to open the card, then tap on edit, and you will see remove from autofill over here. And the other way around, if the card is only available in the autofill feature but not activated for Apple Pay, you will see a button called use card with Apple Pay. And lastly, under the same page, you will see a new toggle here called Apple Pay compatibility, which will check with the networks to see if your card is suitable for Apple Pay payments or not, and give you a notification accordingly. Back to the overflow menu, and we no longer have the same settings options like in iOS 18, but we got something new here called notifications. This one will allow you to adjust the notifications for the different types of transactions. And here you have a separate page for the transactions that you can turn on or off, or you can choose a specific card to turn on or off. And finally, we have something called Daily Cash. This one will send you notifications related to daily cash earned by using your Apple Card. Now let's compare the app settings on both versions. And the first change is the new Apple Pay defaults page that consolidates a lot of settings that we used to have on the front page on iOS 18. The first one is the default card shipping address, email, and phone. Then we have the pay later and rewards notifications, in addition to a new toggle called offers, which will also give you a notification if you have any offer available when you check out using Apple Pay. We also have the same other pay later options, allow payments on Mac, which is over here, the double click side button, which is at the top. So this page consolidates a lot of options. Back to the main page, and when you scroll down a bit, you will see the autofill cards settings page I already covered. Then we have a new toggle here to hide the expired passes. And the last option we have here is called order tracking. Previously, we used to have two toggles for orders, one called add orders to wallet and one called order notifications. But now we only got one page for everything. And here you can choose what orders to include in your wallet. So for example, when you make orders using Apple Pay, you can turn on the switch, but currently on iOS 26, you can also include the order emails you received, even if you didn't pay using Apple Pay. which will allow Apple Intelligence to locate these emails and get all the information needed and then automatically added to your wallet. Apple also revealed some new features in the keynote that I'm not going to be able to show you on camera, like the ability to pay in installments and redeem your points when you shop in person. The boarding passes also got a refresh with iOS 26. First, you can share the status with people so they can keep track when you're landing. It will give you quick access to the indoor mapping to get around the airport quickly. And finally, quick access to the Find My to be able to track your luggage if you are using an AirTag. And when it comes to car keys, now we have 13 more brands supported as shown now on the screen with iOS 26. Last but not least, you can create a digital ID for your passport in the US. It will not entirely replace your physical ID, but it can be used for domestic travel at supported TSA checkpoints, in apps, and in person when age and identity verification is required. Next, the Passwords app. Now you have the ability to view your passwords history by going to the password itself, and here it will show you if you changed this password recently. It says here, I have a password to change 2 minutes ago, and by tapping on these arrows, I can check the previous and new passwords and also clear the history if I want. And now it's time to talk about the keyboard, which got some design tweaks. The first one is the removal of the word space from the space bar, and the word search is now a magnifying glass. We have more rounded corners, and when you use it in other apps like Messages, you see how transparent is the keyboard now. Plus, we got one more new feature, which is the ability to say the spelling of the word when you use the dictation feature, and here is a quick example. EMAD. As you see, it works great. Now let's start to talk about the utility apps, and I will start with the Clock app. Other than the design that we got familiar with now, it got one new change, which is the ability to set a custom snooze duration for the alarm, and you have the ability to choose between 1 minute up to 15 minutes. The next app we have is the Calculator app, and it got some design tweaks. First, the settings button that we used to have at the bottom left corner is now located at the top right corner. Both give you the same exact options, but the menu got a slight redesign. Plus, the buttons are now organized differently, so the plus minus button is now located at the bottom left corner instead of the settings button. Also, when you start typing, as you see, the AC button converts into a C, while previously the AC button changes into a backspace. So you always have the backspace visible in the newer version. And when it comes to the history, it got some design tweaks as well. Instead of having edit and clear buttons at the bottom, now you only get an edit button over here. And also the done button got replaced with an X. If you want to clear everything on iOS 26, you need to tap on edit first, and then the clear all button will be revealed. And you can also select individual items if you want. Last but not least, it also got the liquid glass design, but it's very subtle. As you see here, it only happens when you tap on the numbers. The number will touch with the numbers next to it to give you this glass-like effect. The next app we have is Reminders, and here you can see a complete redesign. All the categories at the top got this fresh new look, and the search bar is now gone, replaced with a search button that shows the search bar right next to the keyboard. Then we have the add list button at the top right corner instead of showing at the bottom right corner like before. And if you want to create a new reminder, you will see a new plus button over here. When it comes to the ellipses, we have the same exact options as before. I already covered 2 of the new features of the Reminder app, which is the ability to create a new reminder from the control center using this toggle, or you can also assign it to the action button. And the second new feature is the ability to create a reminder from the phone app. So for example, when you go to the calls screen, you can do this and then hit the reminder button, which will do the same for you. Apple also talked about 2 new features in Reminders that I didn't get because I don't use it that much. The first one is called auto-categorize, which will automatically group related reminders into sections, and the last one called suggested reminders. The description says share to reminders to get suggested to-dos, follow-ups, and grocery items. In the Notes app, now you can export your notes as a markdown by tapping on the share button, and you will see export as markdown. When you tap on it, it will take some time to load, and then it will give you a share sheet to choose where you want to save. Next, we have the Journal app, which got 3 new changes. The first one is the ability to create multiple journals. When you tap on the plus button, you can give it a name, a color, and choose an icon for it. The second change is the ability to see your journals on a map. So for example, when you add entries in different places, they will be showing as pins on this map. The third change is the ability to draw, not only add text. So for example, when I edit this journal, I have the markup icon here at the top. When I tap on it, it will give me the option to add my own drawings. Next, Apple CarPlay. First, now it supports the new liquid glass design language to match your phone's design, so you will see transparent items, widgets, and updated icons. We also got a compact design for notifications to keep other items visible on the screen without any distractions. Messages on CarPlay got tapbacks and pinned conversations support, plus widgets and widget stacking is now available in CarPlay to get glanceable information on the go. And lastly, live activities is now supported in Apple CarPlay. And the last app we're going to talk about in this video is the new Games app, and here's the app icon. When you go inside, you will see 4 tabs: Home, Arcade, Play Together, and Library. The Home one will include the Continue Playing section, the top played games, and then you have Browse Categories and some other suggestions. Then we have the Arcade tab for Apple Arcade subscribers, and this one will include new updates and new releases, and they are categorized as you see here under multiple different categories. The Play Together tab will include what your friends are playing, their achievements, and you can invite them to play with you. In addition to a new feature called Challenges to compete in a score-based showdowns, and some of the titles that support this feature are Thronefall and Skate City, New York. And lastly, it can work with your connected game controller, so you can easily switch between games without a problem. Now it's time to talk about all the new changes under settings. Starting with the design, now we have the search bar at the bottom. It has more rounded corners and an updated microphone icon, and also the background is now transparent, so it reflects whatever behind it. And when you tap on both, you will see a redesigned X button as well. The toggles and the sliders also got updated, so take a look here. When I tap on any of the buttons, it got this new water bubble animation. Plus the sliders, when you drag your finger over it, this is how it looks now. It gives you the same water bubble animation. The back button also got updated, and it's now circular, and it no longer shows the previous page name. And when you start scrolling, the top header is no longer separated, but it's shaded in iOS 26. So that's it when it comes to the design. Now let's start with the account page. When you go to personal information, you will see a redesigned menu. First, the edit button got replaced with a change. The date of birth is written in a different way. You have multiple options here that didn't exist before, like the name and photo sharing, and here's how you can update everything. You also get something called age range for apps. It says here, share that you are an adult, so you are not limited to child and teen content in apps. By default, you will always be asked if you want to share your age range. You can change this in age range for apps settings, and when you scroll down, it says that it will sync across devices and your age and birthday stay private. So if you want to share it, you can tap on continue, and by this, all the apps will know that you are an adult. And once you activate the feature, it will give you a drop-down menu to choose if you want to share your age always, ask first, or never. Under battery, we got a lot of new changes. The first one is this banner at the top that tells you the last time you charged your phone. Same as this one, but it's now located at the top. You also have an info button over here that tells you a lot of information about how to use your battery using this Apple's article. So when it loads, as you see here, it will give you some tips and insights. But what's new here is when you try to charge your phone, you will get more information now. So let me plug the charger to show you what happens. It will take few seconds to tell you how much time it needs to charge your battery. It depends on the currently set limit. In my case, it's set to 100% and it says 40 minutes remaining. If you have it set to 80 or 90%, it will also tell you the same. Then we have a small note here says iPhone will occasionally charge to 100% even if the charge limit is set below 100%, which is needed for calibration. Now let's scroll down to see the updated usage graph. First, it's now titled as daily usage, which wasn't the case before. We no longer have these tabs that switches between the last 24 hours and 7 days or 3 days. But all the days are now written right away on the graph. We also got this new average benchmark, and it says here that my average usage is 14%, and it compares your average to today's usage, and if it's higher than normal, it will be highlighted in orange as you see here. You will also see that previously we used to have two separate graphs, one for the battery level and one for the activity, and then you get the screen on time, screen off time, and the usage per app. While currently we only have one graph for the battery level or battery usage. And if you want to check the usage per app, as you see here, it tells you two things. It tells you the screen on time and the battery level both together on the same line. While previously, if you want to switch between the battery level to the screen on time, you need to tap on this button. We also got this new submenu called View All Battery Usage, and here you can check your screen on and off times, but they got different names. They are now called Screen Active and Screen Idle. You can also switch between days, and when you scroll down, you can see the usage by app and also the apps you used more than usual. Plus, on iOS 26, you get more insights when compared to iOS 18. As you see, it says here, you are using more battery today than you usually do by 7:37 p.m. And I don't have the same note on my iOS 18 device. And when you scroll all the way down, now you can see all the toggles and the rest of the options located and grouped together at the bottom of the screen for easier reachability instead of having things at the top like before. And when you compare the rest of the settings, you will see some differences. Previously, we used to have a low power mode toggle, and that's pretty much it. But now it's a separate page called power mode. We still have the same low power mode toggle over here, but we got a new feature called adaptive power. The description says when your battery usage is higher than usual, iPhone can extend your battery life by making performance adjustments such as lowering display brightness, allowing some activities to take longer, or turning on low power mode at 20%. And if you want to know when the adaptive power mode kicks in, you can turn on this toggle, which is called adaptive power notifications. Back to the main page, and you will notice here that the charging and battery health are now two separate menus instead of having everything grouped together. Under the battery health, you can see the battery health is normal instead of having this peak performance capability. Then we have the maximum capacity, the cycle count, manufacture date, and first use. When it comes to the charging, there are some differences here as well. First, when you change your charging limit to 100%, you get this pop-up on the screen to choose if you want to allow this only until tomorrow, or to set the limit to 100% all the time, or cancel, which will revert back to the previous settings. So for example, when you set it to 100%, the optimized battery charging option will be activated, so you can turn it on or off, and it will also give you the same pop-up to turn it off until tomorrow, turn off all the time, or cancel. So that's it with the battery. Now let's talk about the new changes under general, starting with the software updates page. Now we have this new more details button that will take you right away to the iOS version. Then we have the automatic updates page. Here you will see some differences. Instead of having all the toggles visible, once you turn off the automatically install, you will get the rest of the options, and they also got different names. The security responses and system files is now called system files automatically install. And if you want to only download the iOS version without installing, you have this toggle, which was located under automatically download category. So things are better organized now. Back to general, and then when you go to iPhone storage, the first thing you will notice here is the search bar says the word applications, which didn't exist before. They both do the exact same thing. They will allow you to check the application inside the storage page, but the newer version makes it more obvious. Other than this, everything is exactly the same. The only difference is the new design. Back to general and then AirPlay and continuity. Here you will see a brand new toggle called Keep Audio with Headphones. The description says, when using AirPods or other wireless headphones, keep audio with headphones when other devices like speakers or cars connect to iPhone. Apple also added a whole new menu under General called Screen Capture. That gives you a lot of control over how your phone captures screenshots and screen recordings. The first toggle is called Full Screen Previews. The description says display screenshots in full view instead of showing a temporary thumbnail in the lower left corner. So when you turn off the toggle, your screenshots will only appear as a thumbnail at the bottom left corner. And when you tap on them, that's when you switch to the full screen view. But if you have it enabled, and then take a screenshot, it will take you to the full screen view right away. The second toggle is called Automatic Visual Lookup, which will automatically identify and learn about objects and the places that appear in your screenshot. When you have it enabled and then show it something identifiable like this, it will automatically start the visual lookup feature, and you can see it here at the bottom. When I tap on it, it will give me more information without the need to go to Apple Photos. Then we have a toggle that allows the iPhone to take screenshots from Apple CarPlay, and you can also change the format of your screenshots and screen recordings. Here you have SDR and HDR, and the description says that HDR captures photos and videos with full dynamic range in HEIF format, while SDR captures screenshots in PNG format. And when it comes to screen recordings, it uses HEVC. And for HDR screen recording, it uses HEVC HDR10. Under the background app refresh, there is a minor tweak. When you have it set to Wi-Fi and cellular data, it now shows this on the front page instead of showing on like before. And when you set both on Wi-Fi, they match, but only the Wi-Fi and cellular data option is different on iOS 26. Under General and then Fonts, now we have a new option called More Fonts that will allow you to download tons of new options as shown now on the screen. Under Keyboard and then Text Replacement, you see that the Edit button is now located at the top next to the plus button, and we got this new search option that didn't exist before, which will make it easier for you to locate any phrase you want. Back to the keyboard settings, now we have two new toggles to control the haptic feedback and sound separate from the current sound profile of your iPhone, which didn't exist before. So these are all the new changes under General. Now let's talk about accessibility, starting with the voiceover. Now when you scroll all the way down, we got a new option called Reset Voiceover Settings. We also got a brand new menu for the hover text feature I already talked about in the Control Center chapter. Here you can do further modifications to the text, like the display mode. You can choose inline, top or bottom. You have here the content, text, color or text and color. And then we have the scrolling speed. We have the font. Then we have the size. And also you can adjust the text, background and the border colors. And we have another page for the hover typing as well. Under accessibility and then touch and then assistive touch, when you scroll all the way down, you will see that the extend predictions toggle got replaced with a new menu called keyboard that includes the extended predictions in addition to other options as well. Also under touch, when you take a look here at this toggle, it used to be called tap to wake, but it's now called tap or swipe to wake. And the description says wake and unlock iPhone when you tap the display or swipe up from the bottom edge of the lock screen, which didn't exist before. Back to accessibility and then switch control. Now we have a new menu called Switch Sets, and the description says use switch sets to quickly change between a set of active switches and recipes to another set. Creating a new switch set will copy the current switches and recipes, and here is how you can create a new one. You just need to give it a name, and when you create a switch or a recipe, you can choose which one to add it under. Also under switch control and then switch control mode, now we have a new eye tracking option. And if you want to adjust the settings of the eye tracking option, just scroll down until you reach point scanning, and then you will find eye tracking. Here you have show face guidance toggle, and then we have the dwell controls. Here you can adjust the timeout and also have a lot of other options to choose from. And finally, under the visual section, we have a new menu called Alerts that include a new toggle called Ignore Invalid Switch Setup, and the description says hide alerts when the switch configuration setup is invalid. The voice control also got a lot of new changes, so when you go inside, you will see a new blue text here called What's New in Voice Control. It will show you the extra languages supported now. We have vocabulary syncing, we have specify repetition for commands, so you can choose how many times you want to repeat the command. You can also choose between these new commands, which are swipe from top, bottom, left, or right, add line above or below, show or hide text editing numbers, turn on or off eye tracking, turn on or off head tracking, and finally type to Siri. Under eye tracking, we also got a new feature called pause or face pause guidance, and the description says receive instructions and visual cues on positioning your face correctly prior to eye tracking calibration, and here you can find the toggle. We also got a brand new menu called head tracking. I'm not sure how it's different from the one we already have under the switch control, but the description says head tracking uses the camera to track the movement of your head to control a pointer on a screen, and it tracks facial movements to perform actions. And here are all the facial expressions, and you can assign an action to each one, and you have plenty of options to choose from. After that, we have the pointer, and here you have some options to adjust it as well. Then we have the pointer speed, snap to item, and the dwell control. And I also covered the change of the sound recognition menu, and it's now called sound and name recognition, because now you can allow your iPhone to keep listening for your name, and once somebody calls it, it will give you a notification, which also got a new toggle under the control center. Under audio and visual and then background sounds, you will see some new changes. When you go to sound, Apple added a lot more options. So the last one was fire, but now we got all these new options added to the list. Also, when you go back to the main page, now you have the ability to adjust the equalizer. You can turn it on or off. You can choose between broad or focused, and you can also adjust it the way you want, like this. And then we have a balance for the left and right speakers. Additionally, we got a new option called Stop Sounds with a timer, and here you can activate the timer. You can choose between at a specific time or after an amount of time. And then we have a toggle to always use these settings. So that's it with the background sounds. Now let's talk about live listen. And here you will also find a blue text saying what's new with live listen in iOS 26. It says live captions. You can view captions of a live listen session in real time. You have live listen rewind, jump back in a live listen session to catch something that you may have been missed. And finally, control a live listen session with nearby devices. You can use your other devices such as an Apple Watch to serve as a remote control to start, stop, or rewind live listen session. And when you go inside, you can activate the remote control option if you want. We also got a brand new toggle here called power on and off sounds, which means the phone will play a sound when you power it on or off. We also lost one of the toggles that we used to have in iOS 18, which is called phone noise cancellation. I couldn't find this one on iOS 26, but when you scroll all the way down, you will also see a new menu here called call audio routing, and here you can choose between automatic, Bluetooth headset, or speaker, and also you have an option to auto answer phone calls. Back to accessibility and then live captions, you will also see the same blue text to tell you what's new. Here we got more languages supported, plus we have some privacy updates. You can take screenshots or screen recordings. You can access transcription history for up to 24 hours. Copy, paste, or clear transcriptions. You can also toggle save call captions to make phone call captions available for copying and screenshotting. And here you will see the toggle to turn this feature on or off, in addition to the new languages added to the list. Under music haptics, we also got some tweaks. So when you tap on what's new, it will tell you that now you have the haptics mode. You can customize the haptics mode by choosing between full mix or vocals only. And you can also adjust the haptics intensity. So when you turn on the switch on both, you will see the new options over here. We have full mix, vocals only, and you can also choose the intensity from here. Back to accessibility and then Siri. First, we got a new icon, and the type to Siri toggle is gone from this page, but now you can locate it under the Apple Intelligence settings. And the last change under accessibility is a new menu called Share Accessibility Settings, which I already covered in the Control Center chapter. In a nutshell, you can use it to temporarily transfer your accessibility settings to another device and then delete it later. You also have the option to sync your accessibility settings to the cloud if you want. So that's it with the accessibility, but I will skip Action button, Apple Intelligence and Siri and the Control Center as there is nothing new here. And I also covered the new camera settings in the camera chapter. And now let's talk about the display and the brightness. Now on iOS 26, when you go to the always on display settings, if your phone supported, we have a new toggle called Blur Wallpaper Photo. When you turn on the switch, the lock screen wallpaper on the always on display is now blurry. And when you tap, as you see, the blur effect goes away. And if you have this toggle disabled like this, and then you go to the lock screen, now it has the normal view. Under the standby menu, we also got some new changes. Now we have a new menu called display, and instead of having the night mode toggle, and under display, you can see that same toggle over here, but we also got two new features. The first one is the motion to wake. So when the phone detects motion while having the standby mode activated, it will automatically turn on the display. Also, you have here the ability to turn off the display automatically after 20 seconds or never. And it says here, when set to automatically, the display will intelligently turn off when iPhone is not in use and the room is dark. Next, under sounds and haptics, now you have the ability to show the silent mode in your status bar. And here is what happens when you turn the toggle on. Also, you have the ability to adjust the default input method on your iPhone. Here you can set it to automatic, or you can make it always the iPhone microphone. Under the ringtone, we also got some new options. Now the default reflection ringtone can be expanded, and you have multiple options to choose from. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more options to choose from here, and also one more new ringtone called Little Bird. And here's how it sounds. It's also worth noting that now you can set a custom ringtone without the need to use GarageBand. All you need to do is to have an MP3 file or a video file inside your Files app. And when you go to the Share menu and then tap on More, you will find a new option here called Use as Ringtone, which will automatically take you to the ringtone settings to set it to your new one. And when you scroll all the way down, you will find a new option here under the built-in speaker called Reduce Loud Sounds. And the description says reduces audio volume range and creates softer sound effects while maintaining the quiet details of the original audio. I also spotted a new feature under the focus menu, and then when you go inside any of the focus modes you have, scroll all the way down, then tap on Add Filter. Now I can see the phone app that didn't exist before, and this one will allow you to filter calls by SIM. So if you have multiple SIMs, you can choose which one to allow and which one not to while having this focus mode enabled. Another small feature added to the Face ID and the passcode menu. When you scroll all the way down to the Allow Access when locked, now you will see one more toggle here called Workout Health Data. So you can give access to this data even when the phone is locked if you want. But I no longer see the same accessories toggle like before. It's now gone from the list. We also lost one more toggle under Emergency SOS called Call Quietly. I don't see this one in the list on iOS 26. Under security and the privacy, I spotted a couple of new options. The first one is called blocked contacts, and here you can add a blocked contact if you want. And then when you scroll all the way down, you will see a new option here called wired accessories, and you can give access to it either always ask for new accessories, automatically allow when unlocked, or always allow. Under Game Center, when you scroll all the way down, you will see this new option called Reset Identifier under a new category called Privacy. For the rest of the apps like Wallet, phone, messaging, etc. I covered their settings in their own chapters already. So by this, we covered all the new changes under settings. So that's pretty much it for today. These are all the new changes in iOS 26. I covered more than 500 new features and the changes. And please don't forget to support the channel by subscribing and hitting the thumbs up. But for now, thanks so much for watching and see you in the next video.